Tuesday, Parshas B'Shalach Tovshin Pei Beis. Parshas B'Shalach is the Parsha of Amunah and Bitochen. We have Kriyas Yamsuf, Parshas Hamon. So, for a change, we'll talk about Parnosa, Parshas Hamon. The Beis HaLevi has a famous Maimar HaBitochen, which is what the Beis HaLevi wrote with his Ksav Yad, and he went over to his child, and it got only lately they gave it out. Lately, I don't mean last year, but it wasn't around a lot of years. And he sums up beautiful Nakudas of Bitochen, how the Beis HaLevi looked at it, how he explains certain ideas of Bitochen, which we find in different Svarim, but certain Nakudas come out clearer in the Sefer Maimar Bitochen, the Beis HaLevi. So we'll learn one or two ideas on the Beis HaLevi on Parnosa and Bitochen, which helps a person keep their mind straight. The Beis HaLevi says that if a person understands that when they work for Parnosa, they must minimize the Yegia, which means they're working hard and putting your mind all into it. And the more a person will understand that Hashem gives Parnosa min Hashamayim, and there's a different topic that a person has to do something for the Yeshiva Olam, do something for the world, but it's not like if you will work harder and invest more time, you're going to get yourself more Parnosa. So the more a person understands that and lives like that, the more he's not going to have to work very hard for their Parnosa. And the more a person starts investing the whole energy and the whole effort and time and the whole mind into working very hard to earn money, the more they will have to work harder because they put themselves into such a system. That's the Yesod the Beis HaLevi wants to explain, and he brings a medrash that the Ramban brings this medrash in Parashat Shmois. We have mentioned it in different shiurim, the topic of Hashem Tzilcha. Hashem Tzilcha means Hashem is like the shadow of a person, and if the person puts the hand here, then the shadow is. No, you could see a shadow. Then the shadow will be like the hand. Now, if a person, however the person acts, that's how Hashem acts towards him. And a person brings upon themselves the which system of Anhoga Hashem is going to work with him. It's up to the person. If a person gives tzedakah to others, Hashem gives tzedakah to him. If a person that decides to not give, so Hashem doesn't give to him. A person has Rahmanas on others, so Hashem has Rahmanas on him, and so on and so on. That's the Medish, and the Ramban brings it. That's the Shem Eke. That means Hashem says, I will be with you. The same way you're with me, I will be with you. You look over Hashem, Hashem looks down to you, and watches over you, and takes care of you. A person that disconnects from Hashem, Hashem says, okay, you decided that you want to be under a different hanhoga, you don't want to have the system of Rahmanas and closeness to Hashem. So the Beis HaLevi takes this idea, this concept, and he explains that's the same thing that happens when a person works and they decide that they need to work very, very hard and they believe in what they're doing. That means they believe that if they work crazy hours, and I'm using the word crazy bedafka, it means not hours that it's normal to work. They give up the family time because they have to earn another couple of dollars, then a very interesting thing is going to happen. They will actually need those couple of hours because they had decided to live such a type of a life. So that's how that's how it's going to happen. They're going to see as a fact that, you see, I had invested 18 hours a day in my business, and fact is that I earned more. And the day that I neglected it, I didn't earn that much money. Now this Beis HaLevi explains us something interesting, very interesting. Sometimes you have these people giving courses, teaching youngsters that go into business, and they should kill themselves. And if you really want to be successful, there's no Sunday, there's no Friday, there's no Shabbos, technically. You have to be all the way into it. Now, of course, Al Pi Torah, a person that's doing something has to be serious in what he's doing and not play games and waste his time. But a person has to know that he's not getting his parnasa because of the amount of hours that he's putting in. A person is only getting parnasa by how much the person is doing what's right and how much the person is connecting to Hashem. So you have these people that they give these courses to convince people to do crazy things. And it's not only in how hard they work. The same is with how to advertise, for an example. They call you and they tell you, if you're not going to get onto all these groups, if you're not going to put statuses, if you're not going to do all this, you're out. You're not in this world, and you're not going to be earning money. You just be aware. This is how it is. This is how it goes, and I could prove it to you. And I have hundreds of clients that they also made this mistake. They thought they could just sit and learn and work, and Hashem is in the parnasa. It doesn't work like that. Hashem doesn't want that. They use Hashem's name, and they convince you. Now here's the interesting chap from the Beis Halevi. The Beis Halevi is saying, some of those people that are convincing you that, and they tell, if you would ask them, how do you know? They say, what do you mean? It's a fact. I'm in the line, and I can tell you, it's black and white. The Beis Halevi says, it could be they're not lying. They're saying that, and they're really experiencing that. It's true. But the reason is because they put themselves into being under such a anhoga from Hashem, such a system, how Hashem runs the world, and then that it's their oynish, that they have to have a lot of yigiyah. They have to work very, very hard, and they have to spend so much money on advertising, and they have to give up so many normal, exciting things of life, family simchas, and family time, and Shabbosim to be calm. They don't have all that. They can't enjoy life because they decided to do that. And in contrast, you'll have other people that say, it's true, you have to be very serious about work, you can't neglect it, but Friday, I'm Yachad L'Kavod Shabbos Kodesh. Friday is L'Kavod Shabbos. My Rav told me that Friday I'm allowed to, I don't have to go into work. And then the Motzei Shabbos is Motzei Shabbos. And if they're not, it all works differently, but in most of the world, if it's Sunday, they say, listen, I'm not mechuyev Sunday to check in, and they just don't open their phone until Monday morning. And a lot of people are very upset at them. Very. So, depends on the dynamics. But the idea is, if you really believe in that, then you are putting yourself into a situation that you're roi to have a system that should work, that you're going to be able to have parnasa without all the above, without working very, very hard. That's what's important here.
On the other extreme, if a person would say, I'm just going to make a startup, but I'm going to work 4 hours a day. The rest of the time I'll learn, I'll spend with my family, and I pick that system. That's
very important to explain the other half. A person decides that they want to work 4 hours a day, and Hashem is going to help them. So if you want to work less than the amount of hours which is normal, which means that it used to be called 9 to 5, then you need reshus. You need to have permission from Hashem to work less, because you're in Hashem's world. We're all mechuyev, and part of it is that we have to give something for the yishuv ha'olam. That means we have to give service to the world. If a person sells watches, then the olam needs watches. You can't check in 12:30 p.m. every day, because the normal thing is you have to open up your store. I don't know what hours. Some places it's 11. If it's opening up a store in Brooklyn or what, it doesn't have to be 9 a.m. But you have to do what's normal. Normal is not what crazy people do. Normal is the hours that's standard, but it's getting tough to find the people that have standard. What's standard? That's about taking away from the hours. This is how it works. If it's 9 to 5, you got to check in from 9 to 5. Now, if you have permission, Hashem will let you come in 10. It means you could try it 50 minutes at a time, and you see that the income is the same, and people are coming later. Then you could try another 50 minutes. But a person can't just decide that he only wants to work 3 hours a day.
If he wants to sleep another 15 minutes in the morning, what?
No, it's not for sleeping. For sleeping, you can't do that. You could only do it to give it away to Hashem, because you're mechuyev to work in this world. But the idea behind all this is that a person disconnects the two. I work because I need to give a service to the world, and a person must refine that machshava, that halacha machshava, the
pathway,
thought
pattern.
The pattern. A person has to understand that, to figure out, I work because I have to give a service, and I have to figure out what the service is. Some people, it's not simple, because they say, I'm not giving a service, they have to figure it out. There's a lot of different ideas how a person can figure out what's the service for the world. We had the story, I don't think we mentioned it in the English here, I don't remember, about the lottery. The person that was selling lottery tickets in Gaman, a close friend of mine. A person has a job of selling lottery tickets. Mifal Apais. He has a booth, and that's what he sells. And he started learning and listening to shiurim and steiging while sitting in the booth, because it's not so hard. People come in, he sells all kinds of different types of tickets he could buy, and he finished Masechtas, and he became a better Yid. But one nice day, he started thinking to himself, what am I doing? What's my service to the world by selling lottery tickets? I'm getting to know the people that are buying the tickets. And I feel that they're getting addicted to buying those lottery tickets, and they're ruining their life, and they're taking away thousands of shkolim from their children, from the bread and butter, and he felt that he's not doing any yeshiva oilam. So if that's the case, why am I here? To ruin the world? To help people ruin themselves and their budget and everything? And he didn't want to go into work. He stayed home. He actually stayed home for a few weeks, because he didn't know how to go about it. He didn't know how to go about it. But then he went to verify what could be, and that's what every person has to do. What is the service that I'm giving to the world? I have to figure it out. And he went to verify what's this lottery ticket business, and he figured out that in all Medinas, and all over the place, the whole world, all countries, in all countries there's a system, because this is an easy way how the countries could get taxes. They actually take about 50% tax, and they rake in, they take millions of dollars, and this is the whole world. And actually there are countries that were thinking, they were seriously considering just working on this system. Instead of having an IRS and running after people and putting them in jail for not paying taxes, they would set up the whole tax system like this. The people come to you and they buy. So do it in various different ways, and then they just have the income that they need. Now, even though people are very mad at their country for taking taxes, and this is like the scary word, the IRS and whatever it is, but the truth is that it's needed, because you have to be able to build highways, infrastructure, and sanitation, whatever it is. You need to run a country, and taxes have to come in. Now, by a person sitting there and letting people buy lottery tickets, he's giving a service to his country wherever he is. That's the bottom line. Now, it's true that certain people get addicted and they're not supposed to be buying lottery tickets. That's a different sugya. And if a person could give toichacha, and he has a way how to go to family members and try to involve someone to help the person not fall into a rut, that's a very big mitzvah. It's a mitzvah of Vashavas Aveda. You're giving back the person to himself and to his family. It's a mitzvah of tons of different mitzvahs that you're being mekayim. But you're supposed to be figuring out what is your service to the world. Very important zach. And then that's why you do what you're doing. And that's why you're not going to do anything and that's wrong. And you're not going to want to ganva, do geneva and all that and lie. Because you understand, shefa comes from above. Not because of what I do, and if I'm going to sign papers and do things and they're not honest, it's not going to help. It's only going to make things worse. Now, when a person understands that and lives like that and trains his mind to start living like that, they get up in the morning, I want to do my service better. Parnasa will do by davening. But after davening, I need to learn to be able to do whatever I do better. If a person is selling cell phones, they could be doing such a service for the Bria by giving the right phone to people and not giving the wrong phone, and helping people say, I think you don't need this, I can help you get a filter, you'll have all your needs. Tell me what you need, I'll help you. And I'll set you up with a perfect filter. You won't have what you don't need, and you will have what you do need. You know what a service you have by having such a store such a boot, you could save people's lives. Doiris you could do. Yes, you have. That's what you do. Use cell phones. Just that's what it is. You're standing there, and you could save people's lives. And anything. It's anything. Taxi drivers, what they could do with their job that they're doing besides the chesed, even though they're getting paid, it's still chesed. It's a topic we discussed a lot, because you're helping people, you're giving people. Okay, you're getting paid. That's fine. Getting paid, we discussed that. Getting paid is also yeshiva olam, because the system is that if it used to be, I have tomatoes, you have cucumbers. Now I need tomatoes and cucumbers, you need tomatoes and cucumbers. So I give you my tomatoes, you give you the cucumbers, and then we both have a nice geschmacka salad. Now it doesn't make a difference if it's tomatoes and cucumbers, and if it's a house, someone sells properties, and somebody else sells whatever it is, and services. So when I help people get from one place to a different destination, and they give me money, don't look at it, it's money. I gave you this, and then I could buy bread. That's yeshiva olam. Getting paid is not that you're not doing chesed. You're doing chesed.
If you wouldn't get paid, you couldn't keep doing the chesed.
Yes, if you wouldn't get paid, you wouldn't be able to do the chesed. And if you're saying that, I'll say over a story that I just heard on Sunday. A beautiful story. There is, but we'll say it. There was a gemach in Satma, big gemach, to help people make chasana, and the family that runs the gemach are tough people, and they came to payments. They made sure the guy pays, and And someone came to Satmarov. She came to Satmarov, and that person, his name is Yitzchok Schwartz. He's not alive anymore, but I heard it from the person who heard it from Yitzchok Schwartz. He sat with him and he told him, this Yitzchok Schwartz came to Satmarov, and he said, we need to open up a different gemach. Because the family that runs the gemach, the official big gemach, they're too tough. You can't do that to people. They don't have the payment. And we need to have a gemach you have to be more flexible. You have to be able, so he said, okay. So I forgot if it was he that gave. He put in $50,000. In those times, 50 years ago, they putting in $1 million or $2 million. It was a huge amount of money, and they opened the gemach. Satmarov said, "Okay, I'll be like on the board," and he gave out within no time. He gave out all the money, and then there was no money in the gemach. Like a month or two later, that's it. It was done. So Satmarov, he said there's no money. So Satmarov said, okay, let's sit down with the papers and let's see what we can do. And they went through, and they said, okay, him. Yeah, I asked him. He said he's not doing, so I'll wait with him. The other guy, he's making chasana next week. There's no way I could ask him for the money. The other guy, don't ask what's happening. That he has a child that's all messed up. And they went through the list, and there's no money for the gemach. So there's no money to lend out to people. And he looks at him and said, now you understand why they have to run the gemach? Now, it's a cute story, but says the truth about everything. It says the truth about everything. That means it's yeshiva olam, that people should get paid. People look at it if someone doesn't get paid. So it's yeshiva olam. There's a certain standard and whatever. People have prices. This is how much they take an hour. But, once again, then they're focused. I am taking money for yeshiva olam. Then I do a service. They do it with a chiyas, and that's what's so amazing. Afterwards. Then whatever they do with a chiyas. They don't say it's a crazy job. No. I'm now giving this service. I was put in, and that's why the Chavos Avos says a person should choose something that they're good in. Not because you should be successful in business, just because it's a siman, it's a sign. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Look, Hashem gave you the tools. For all the other things in life, or some, you're shlamazel. Because that's not yours, so you're not. But for this, look how beautiful you could do that. And you're giving a service to the world. Be proud of it and do it good. And that's why, let's continue this. A person knows that if I have to do this service for the world, then I must daven. Because that's part of my service that I'm doing to the world. If I don't daven, then how can I convey my koiches, whatever it is? If I'm a psychologist, if I'm an accountant, if I'm a taxi driver, whatever it is, I am doing this for the Eibush. I'm helping people. Whatever it is, I'm helping people. I'm doing it. And if I'm not going to daven well, then it's not. It's nicht. And if I'm going to do things the way not honest or whatever it is, it's zichah that I'm not doing my job. Whenever a person does that, then Hashem says, okay, then if you do that, then I let you daven longer. Then I let you say Tillim. You have a good chavrusa, learn with that chavrusa. You need the Torah for whatever you're doing. It gives you siyata d'shmaya, whatever you're doing. You should be Hashem's shliach. Be Hashem's shliach. When you're selling insurance, people need it. You're an agent, but you're not an agent for, I forgot the names already.
Credential.
You're not an agent for them. You're an agent for Hashem to sell insurance for people. It's a beautiful thing that you're doing. If you learn, you have siyata d'shmaya, and you're going to be offering the person the right plan that fits his needs, and Hashem knows what to get. You don't know, he doesn't know. But Hashem knows which plan. So of course you're supposed to be doing Kviyasitim better. And the more you believe in it, the more you could invest more Torah, Tefillah. A person could live. They could enjoy. And then all of a sudden they have a different anhoga. And then you could have this this Q&A, or better, how do they call it? Imut. They have they have a debate. You could put two people on stage. One person is going to convince everybody that you have to work and whatever. Another person is going to say, I don't know. I learn and I daven and I don't open my phone until whatever time it is, whatever Hashem lets the person do, and I earn a ton of money. And they're both right, because it depends what you chose. If you decided to be in Hashem's army and you believe in Hashem, is going to make you have less yigiyah. You're not going to have to work so hard. It's Hashem is with you. The other person will need to work very, very hard, and if he won't have money. He won't have money, because you can't just decide that today I want to work less. No, it doesn't work like that. You're in the Olam HaTeva. You put yourself into the Olam HaTeva. The Sipurno in Parshas Bahar, he teaches the pasuk so beautifully. He says that the pasuk says it's the Shemitah year. We're in the middle of the Shemitah year. So it says V'nosno oretz piryo, and the pasuk says V'achaltem lo soiva. That means if you makayim mitzvahs, then there's going to be fruit, and there's going to be soiva, satisfaction, anything. If it's going to be whatever you need. Then it says, if you're scared about keeping Shemitah, if you're saying, how am I going to live if I don't earn a full year of no income? Hashem says, I'm going to give crop for 3 years. You're going to have the payers of the 6th year will be enough. For the 6th, for the 7th, for the 8th year, you'll have whatever you need. So there's the famous piece in Noam Elimelech, b'shem his brother, Rabbi Melech b'shem Rabbi Zisha, from Anipoli, that what's the pshat in this pasuk? The idea is, if you wouldn't have asked, if you believe in Hashem, if you have bitochen, then Hashem won't have to create new abundance and new channels of abundance that come to the world, because Hashem gives people whatever they need. You Mekayim, it says, just the beginning, the psukim there say you'll have whatever you need. But if you doubt it, and you say, hey, how am I going to live? Then you broke the channels of abundance. It means it can't come to you, the shefa. Now, but being that you're being Mekayim mitzvah, Hashem will create separate new channels to bring you shefa, but it wouldn't have been needed if not. This is what it says in Noam Elimelech. And this is it's in Parshas Bahar. It says B'Shem Ochi Rabbi Zisha from Anipoli. It's the only time he mentions his brother in the whole Sefer. One piece. They say that the reason why it's called Noam Elimelech, that's what it says Mekubal from Tzadikim. Noam is Zis. He wanted to be Merames, his brother, Reb Zisha. That was Zusya. His name was Reb Sweet. Yeah, Sweet. Noam Elimelech. But this is a piece that the Noam Elimelech b'shem Reb Zisha. So this piece is a very important piece to remember, because this is a certain makor. In Gemara we find it many times in the Masechtas Brachos, but here there's a certain clarity in this piece, that if a person has daiga, if a person has one of the above, they're ruining shefa that would have came anyways, because the system of the world works that a person gets whatever they need. But being that they disconnected because they were scared or they were worried, that ruins the abundance, that ruins the shefa from coming to the world, to him. But the Sipurna says a very interesting hoisofa. It means he also mentions the idea, Parshas Bar the Sipurna, but the Sipurna mentions an addition. He says, if you look at the words before the person has a doubt, it says V'achaltem lasoiva. You have whatever you need. Now, how does a person have for 3 years if there wasn't a special in the quantity for 3 years? So how is it possible that a person has whatever they need? The answer is that we know in Chazal say that if a person serves Hashem the way they're supposed to, then oichel ma'at u'mizborach b'meyav. It means they don't need, there should be a quantity of a lot. They eat a little bit and they're satisfied. And by food, we see a lot of tzaddikim had that. They didn't need to invest in eating.
The Lechem
Haponim was like that. You ate a drop, and a person really felt like they have whatever they need. They're not hungry. It kept on going for hours. And a lot of tzaddikim, the Tosha Rebbe, Zechariah Levrocha, he ate soup every night. That's what it was. He was just lifted. He worked the whole day on Nachana for davening or whatever, and they made a very condensed soup, chicken soup. Condensed chicken soup that had minerals and vitamins and whatever. Tosha Rebbe soup. Yeah, and the Belzer of Zechariah didn't eat anything, but it's already 60 years since the Belzer of Zechariah was nifter. But the Tosha Rebbe was just nifter. Yeah, that means there's madregas, where people are up to. But there is this system in the Bria, and in money we find it a lot. A lot of people don't need much, and they don't have much expenses, and they earn, and they cover. They have ends meet. They finish, somehow they're managing. And then you have people that are earning tens of thousands of dollars a month. Yeah, $20,000, $30,000 a chodesh, and it's going on, and they didn't get. So he says, and amazing. If a person really trusts in Hashem, that means Hashem didn't say it'll be for 3 years, but you'll have whatever you need with the same crop. But if what happened was that you doubted and you put yourself into a different system of anhoga, how Hashem runs the world, then what happens is, I'll still give you, but then you would need to duplicate you. If it's he says which that includes, you have to get busy with it, and you need to plant, you need to work out, and you need to cut, harvest, the whole deal with all the yigiyah and derech to get to the same spot. Be'etzem, you're getting to the same place. You're not getting anywhere further. And this idea is by every person. That means, once again, a person must remember that if you watch others working very, very hard, lawyers and properties and attorneys, tutzach, no idea what's going on, and they end up making money. A lot of people make money. And then you say, listen, this is it. I need money. And I want to go into this big deal. I want to build 500 units. Someone told me, and I'm going to change the zoning. And they could find themselves 20 years later. The beard is white, that's for sure. What they had to be busy with in court. And in the end of the game, they made money. They made money. And then they're like, proof. They testify. Listen, you want to make money, or you want to you could just sit by someone, just work for someone. You hear Yingalai talking like that. They say, listen, it's not a tachlis. Do I want to work for someone else my whole life? You hear that all the time. Do I want to work for someone else my whole life? Am I crazy? I want to open my own business. And I want to really, the real money. And all that. There's no klolim. It's not like you're not allowed to. Of course you're allowed to. But remember, please, you have a life ahead of you. You could enjoy that life. You could invest. And it's not only enjoying, it's much more important than that. You could invest your life in good, your mind should be busy with good things, with chesed, and with Torah, and with learning, really being into learning, and have what you need. You will have what you need. Do it, ehrlich. What are you good at? Instead, you could go make the whole runaround, and it might even be with the whole runaround, there'll be bigger numbers in your bank account. That's true. But you won't have anything more. Nothing. You'll be busy, marba nechosah with marba daige, and in the end, the same. You won't be able to go on vacation ever because you're this big guy that can never take off. You never got anything from it, zero from the ganze Sach. And it's up to you. Every person has this bechira. You have bechira. You can't decide oni or oshir. That's very complicated because a person has a mazel. But bechira, if you want to be misyageya, that means get so invested that you don't have a head and you're not connected to life because you're so busy with all that. It's bechira. Every person has that bechira. No difference oni and oshir. And you could decide to understand this and not want to take a umnus that's not kala and a It's a decision. A person has to ask that story because sometimes maybe, not what you thought is kala and a you have to ask before. But you have an opportunity of making money and a person just walks away. He says, I know I have an opportunity of making money, but I wanted to stay myself. And I don't want to have a job that I have no ruchnius. I need my ruchnius. But how am I going to have money? Because you decided that. Because you made that decision. There's no doubt you're not going to lose $1. Nothing from it. If you make that decision. And that's, this is the Sisait. The Beis HaLevi continues on, one page later, just a continuation of this, and he says, an amazing concept. Not always people know the answer to this. Is why the previous generations with so many nisim. Kriyas Yamsuf we have. But even in later generations, nisim. Hashem changed the system of the world for Yidden, for Tzadikim, that you saw clearly that there's no world, no Teva, absolutely no Teva. And then why in today's generation don't we see, like that we see Ashkocha Protest stories, we see beautiful, someone that was geholfen, Mida connected Mida, we find fascinating stories, but still, you don't see that Kriyas Yamsuf, you don't see a nest. You do see the doctor say one, and then it's totally the opposite that you see a lot. But still, there's always something to hook on to. The doctor didn't know. So the Beis HaLevi says, let me explain to you the concept. And this is not drash. That means just another like v'yesh kud. It's a fundamental yisoid. It's a yisoid the person has to live with. The Beis HaLevi says, the reason why Hashem does not want to, Kaviyachal doesn't want to do nisim to the Bria is because it's going to take away bechira from a yid. A person has to work hard to choose to do what's right, even though they don't see with their own eyes what's right and wrong, and they're not going to gain and all that. You're doing it because you believe in Hashem. That means bechira, choice. Now, if a person would see nisim, that Hashem runs the world so clearly that there's absolutely no doubt, beyond the doubt, and Hashem kriyas yamsuf. The sky just drops millions of dollars at your table because you're in the middle of davening or whatever it is, or a person does aved, it drops dead on the second, and so on. Then there would be no bechid and there's no point to the whole world. Zok the Beis HaLevi, that in those generations, the emunah was so strong in Hashem that they reached a level of clarity in Hashem that the fact that they saw Shinui HaTeva, that the Teva gets changed, didn't take them into a whole different level of Amunah. They were there already beforehand. If you're there beforehand, and Hashem could do it, no problem. Because it doesn't change your state of mind that now you don't have any Nisayon anymore. You didn't have that Nisayon before that. So there's no reason not to do that. That's the Pshat in the Gemara Masechtas Tainis that Reb Chanina Mendoza said to his daughter, why can't choimetz, vinegar, why can't that burn? Misha Omer Hashem and v'yidlek, who Hashem made oil have the koyach to be able to burn. And she complained, she said, I put in by mistake choimetz, and what are we going to have for Shabbos? It's going to be so dark. He said, what's the difference? It's the same Hashem that said shemen should burn, and choimetz could burn. The simplicity, the way he said it, the tone of voice that Reb Chanina said it, showed that he didn't see any difference. If you don't see any difference, then Hashem has no problem. Make no difference. That's the vort. That's the Yesoid and Amunah. And that's what today's generation, the Nakuda is. Nothing changed. There was no Gzeira that in today's generation there will be no Nisa. Ikvas of the Mashiach, no more. There was no such a Gzeira. You see generations do with tzaddikim, and then you don't see the same madrega of moifsim we just had. I mean, so many tzaddikim that you could still talk to people that live there and breathe it, often in moifsim and things, and we feel yasmi, we feel like Anshe Yamono Avodu, we say in the Slichas. We're missing, it's a tzaddikim that it should be open, you should see. It's up to us. It's not a decision that there'll be choshech. It's up to avodah. When people have stronger amuna, it just works. It doesn't have to happen. It comes along. You have very, very strong amuna, you see different things. You see things open. The Hashem lets you see. So many times Hashem tells you the end of the story. Not always. Depends. Sometimes, if you roy, that means you worked on yourself when you didn't see. So you climbed that ladder. So you went up to the second floor. It's like when you're on the first floor, you can't see what's happening. If you climbed onto the second floor and you see all the secrets, you went up there. And every person, it's not easy. Not easy at all. But if a person should know, that is the ma'akiv from seeing nisim. You have to go into that madrega. It could be that's pshat the Gemara. The Gemara says in Brochus, why the Friedrich Gedolis, when they daven, they got answered, and we answer and we work so much harder and we have more Torah. The Gemara says we have more Torah. We learn all the Zdorim, not only what they learned only one Seder in Torah. We learn Uktzim. We learn. The Gemara says because they had Mesiras Nefesh. That's what the Gemara says. It could be that one of the ideas that lies in that Gemara of Mesiras Nefesh is that they believed, why does a person have Mesiras Nefesh? A person believes so strong that he just gives up everything for the truth. So if you believe, then you see. Then you see things. You see Hashem, that's the koyach of Emunah. That's the koyach of Emunah, that things could be changed through Emunah because Hashem, there's no reason not to. It could change the Teva. And this is where a person has to work on themselves. The Meshech Chochmah in Parshas Hamon says that this is the pshat that Dosan v'Avirim, they left over the mon. Very interesting. One of the halachas, the mitzvahs that Yidden had when they got the mon was that they're not allowed to leave over for the next day. They're in the midbar, they're in the desert, there's no water, there's no food, there's nothing. They have children, little children. Just to imagine what it means to have little children. A person has to picture themselves. When a little baby cries and you run a bottle of water, a 4-year-old cries, and there's nothing doing. Zero. There's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to buy, and it's very scary. It's very, very scary. It's easy to say over, but it's very scary. And you know in the midbar, in such a situation, and they should give them one, but you now have for tomorrow, you have to hope that the skies are just going to open and drop mon the next day again. Every day in Ness. And they did not leave over. Now, Dosan Aviram went, and they did. They left for tomorrow. Now, the Pasuk says, you know what happened? Vayorum toiloim vayivash. Worms came and just got ruined. It didn't stay. They didn't have anything for tomorrow anyways. And the Pasuk says, Vayiksef aleim Moshe. Moshe was very upset at them. Usually, we learn pshat. They were over on the tzivui. What's this? Vayiksef aleim Moshe. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. The Meshech Chochmah says, no, it's deeper than that. The truth is that if they left over mon, then it wouldn't have helped them. It doesn't help you. Proof of that is because that's what happened. But Moshe was upset that they ruined the emunah for Yidden. Because as long as nobody did it, why didn't they leave it tomorrow? Because Hashem said, I could, but I choose not to because why should I? Because Hashem said you can, so you can't. But once you see that it's not going to help you anyways, then nobody's now on the madrega because now they don't have the nisoyin anymore. They don't have that nisoyin of the, and it's so true in a person's life. When a person has to make a decision if they should do something that's wrong in business, dishonest, or whatever it is, it won't help them. That's the truth. It won't help them. That's how it always works. It goes that a person loses twice. They also don't have the money because you can't have what's not yours, but the Aveda goes onto your cheshbon. That's what happens every time a person. You also don't gain, and you also stay with the Aveda. So many times a person invests and pays and whatever, and then they buy something and it's just. So they also wasted their money, and they also wasted their time. They also don't have. That's every time a person does the Aveda that they think they're going to gain, they don't gain, but the Aveda they get. And the person is supposed to have a emunah. That's what we're talking about, emunah b'tachon. A person is supposed to remember that while their heart is beating, that they say, I could just sign a paper and I could just get a lot of money. And I heard a Rav said that you're allowed to. And it's really challenging. I should really give it up. It's a very big nisilin. What a person has to know is, are you eligible? It's even, and a lot of times, even if a Rav said that there's a certain mahalach, it could be that there's a certain mahalach, it could be. There's different scenarios, different cases. Can't compare one case to one family. But a lot of times, even if a person is allowed to, technically there's a mahalach. But if they choose not to, they're going to be gaining twice. Because the money they'll have. They'll get it. Maybe they won't see it clear as the exact amount. The money they'll have. But the mitzvah they'll have. And the kirvus of the kim and the madrega, boom, they went to the next level of ruchnias. Twice they gained. But they could only gain twice because they didn't see it. I'll say over a story that I heard this week from the person who told me the story. And it's with I'm saying with the numbers. Exact. This person helps a family in need. I don't want to get into too much details because I want to be able to say the story as is. He helps a family in need, and he's there for them. In different, that this family is to marry off a child. The mother runs the house. She's the one that runs the finances and everything. And she never in who knows how many years, over 10 years. I'm not sure the number over 10 years, but in a lot of years, this person told me, in a number of years, she never picked up a phone to ask for help. Only if it just got into the conversation, she said what she's missing. But she didn't pick up a phone and say, I'm missing. One day, it just happened. Now, one day she picked up the phone to this fellow that told me the story and told him that I need money. We need to, what's the plan? There's a chasana coming up, I have to marry off a child, and this. He put down the phone and he said, if she did that, it means she's in desperate need. He went over to the house. He wrote a check of $20,000 from his account. He gave it to her. Without making cheshbonos, he was thinking to himself that it could be that he's going to try to get from others for part of it. Well, he doesn't know. First, take $20,000 from my account. He gave her a check of $20,000. He walks back. He walks to his business, and he asks the one that's running their accounts, if there's any money that he could take out from the account that's available now. That means the way the businesses work, you can't just take out money. That means there's people get whatever they earn from a year, but then there's money. If there's any money, actually, look right now. He says, yeah. And you tell him an amount that was almost $20,000. There's about $20,000 he could take out. That amount back. That same day, this person has a couple of businesses. One of the things is management of properties that they have to collect from tenants. They have to collect. The person that collects the money comes to him spontaneously, walks over to him and tells him, I don't know what happened today. Today collections were massive. I collected today $20,000 more than a regular day. These words. These are both twice, right? He went into his business, and this is what he got. Now this, he was still under the Roshim. He just told me the story this week. It's amazing when Hashem shows you. You can, if you would know that beforehand, and then you would decide to give $20,000, that's something else. That's also a mitzvah, but that's something else. But when you wrote out that check, you didn't know that. You had no idea. You had nothing of the above. That's the idea. And it doesn't make a difference if you do it with $100 or you do it with $20,000. Everybody with their asogas and wherever they're up to, that's not the point. The point of the story is that you don't see it. You have to make that bechira when you don't see it. But you didn't lose anything, plus you gained the mitzvah and the madrega and the whole thing. You gained twice. And the Avera goes the same way, the other way. That's why Vayiktzeh Falei Moshe. You just killed it. You just ruined it for the whole Klal Yisrael. That they saw too open that it wouldn't have helped them anyways to leave over for tomorrow. It's so true. It's so everyday. This is the day-to-day challenge. This is the day-to-day challenge. Now, we'll finish off with this Moyer Naim. The Moyer Naim, famous Moyer Naim, explains the Mon. That Hashem gave Shefa to Yidden. I'll give you need food, here you have food. Whatever taste you want, whatever you need, here you have it. Here, this is for you. And then the last pasuk of Parshas Mon says, but I want you to take Mon and put it into the tzintzenes, put it into a vessel, put it into a keli, and I want you to put it ledoiris, for the generations to come, to Laman Yiru Esalechem, Ashachalti Oisam Amid, but people should see in the generations that this is how I gave Yidden to eat in the Midbar. Why was that so important? That we should put Mon away and it should stay, and it was in the Orah, and the Beis was there for many years. Zog the Moyer Naim, the Pshat is Azor. Because Hashem told them like this. Now it's without a levush, the Mon. I send you Shefa, nothing covering it. You just see it the way it is. Generations later, they will not be in that madrega, so they won't see it. It will be covered. You won't do want to, but it's the same exact situation. Nothing changed. System is the same. The anhoga, everything is the same. But you can't see it. But I want you to know that is your bechira. If you choose with emunah, to be honest, you choose with emunah to do things right, and not to do things that are wrong, and whatever is all the halachas, and to learn and to daven and to watch your mouth, everything, and you believe Hashem will send me my tzorachim. And a person that messed up, it's a different share, but just to mention it, and they're stuck now with so many different, and they can't see themselves out of a big mess that they're in. There's a system for that also. Tshuva is part of the system. First, tshuva. That's it. What do I need to do tshuva on? A bad investment. So many. What do I need? Like you could do tshuva. And if I need to go through bushes and things on the way, I accept it. It's a part of the system. It makes sense. That's what I'm doing because I want to, and Hashem will help me, and I want to do things right. Then what happens is that you're uncovering it because you don't see, but you believe in it. And then you gain that it should be uncovered for you. That's what happens because you're going to see the Mon. You're supposed to be seeing through the tzintzenes, through the keli. You're supposed to be seeing the Mon. Not supposed to. Now that's because you don't see it. It's bechira. So you have a mitzvah. So you gain that you could be. Hashem could be giving you the shefa without yegia for a schar for choosing what's right. That's the idea of it, and it's tough work, but it's beautiful and pleasant. And a person that starts living like that, even only one step, they start seeing it. You climb the ladder, another step. The Erev Shel Elfen. We should be able to be Erdach Yidin.
Amen.